Some wild rumors are being spread online as some images have been passed around on X of some golden plates that people are saying are being held in the possession of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I'm here to tell you that that's only partly true. The church does not have possession of them, but there are real gold plates. And I know because I've seen them with my own two eyes. All this and more. My name is Jackson Wayne Paul, and welcome to Latter-day Saints.
What power shall stay the heavens from pouring down knowledge from heaven upon the heads of the latter-day saints?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Latter-day Saints. And for our first-time viewers, we're so glad that you're with us. What you've stumbled upon here on the internet is a news and pop culture commentary show made by Latter-day Saints for Latter-day Saints, but visitors are indeed always welcome. And I'm joined in the studio today by our faithful co-host, Brando.
Let's go.
Welcome. And my big little brother, Hayden Robert Paul.
Awesome. This is going to be kind of a Sticky Joseph crossover video. It's going to be shared on both of our channels because it's going to be interesting to both of our audience.
This is some wild, very exciting stuff that's happening, okay? Just wanted to make it clear that no one on the show is an official representative of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Take note, John DeLynn.
If you didn't watch our episode yesterday. But we love taking a look at things happening in the Latter-day Saint community and in the world abroad and run our mouths on the internet about it. So if you love what we're doing, just like we love what we're doing as well, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as it gets it out to more people that want to look at the world through a restored gospel lens and get updated on some crazy, wild lore that's happening in the Latter-day Saint community, as today's episode will definitely give you your fill on. But ladies and gentlemen, our featured story that we're getting into today is pretty wild, and it has actually been foisted upon us because of some things that will be said later on today in a live stream. And so we're going to be taking a look at just this clip from a channel called Zion Media, where a man named Shane Baldwin is going to say some stuff, and we'll take it from there. But if I didn't already say in the intro, buckle up, because this is going to be wild.
I want to show the picture. Can you show the picture?
Yeah,
we're doing a live stream. We're doing a live stream this Thursday. I need it. I want it to be the biggest live stream that we've done. I don't need it. I would really love it. We've never had 500 people. Our live stream is going to be at 8:30 on Thursday. Dave, can you pull up that picture of the gold plates?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Okay. So, Dave, I'm just going to go big on me. Okay. So there's something that has been floating around for quite some time, and now it's out on Instagram. These are some gold plates. We have the breaking story on what's going on with these. And I've had so many people say, oh, don't talk about this. They're going to come after your life. They're not going to come after me. I'm just reporting on it. The church reportedly has these in their possession. It is the original Quran. There are some things in there that if the Muslims knew about it, it would help them understand things a lot better. And we're going to be discussing it. I'm going to be bringing on somebody that's willing to talk about these things, what the church has done with these, what the church is doing it with them. And I would say to the church, we know what you're doing. We have insiders in the church. And you shouldn't be hiding these things. You shouldn't be storing them away.
I haven't seen this.
It's time to go ahead and release the truth. So let's go ahead and release the truth. Join us Thursday at 8:30 p.m.
Okay, pause it there.
We're going to drop a book.
All right. So
many things wrong with this.
if you're hearing that, you're like, holy cow. The information that I'm gathering from that is he's saying that there's golden plates that have what he says, the original Quran on them, and that the church is holding them and they're hiding things. Okay. And so the reason that Hayden and I are actually commenting on this is because we as you can see in this photo right here, we have actually been invited multiple times by the steward of these artifacts to go and take a look at them and hear about the research that they're actively doing on these artifacts. And when I tell you these things are incredible, they are truly, absolutely incredible. Okay. But the reason that we're commenting on this is because the steward of these artifacts reached out to us and it's like, hey, just like I mentioned to you guys before, one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you in on this, years ago was the first time we saw these.
Yeah, it was 2024.
Yeah. Is because if, word ever got out about these things and people started saying all kinds of different allegations and things that were false, then you guys could come and clear the record and preemptively help people understand what the truth is about these artifacts and what they know up to date right now.
Today is that day.
And real quick, can I just say something?
Yes.
When we were brought in, it was made very, very clear, hey, this is something that has some big implications and is really important, but we're not ready to share it with the world yet. So please keep your mouth shut. Yeah. And so we have kept our mouth shut. But the reason this is coming out is because someone is not keeping their mouth shut. And it's so frustrating to me when you are not the stewards of something and you have been given the opportunity to see something and then you go and run your mouth on it and you're threatening to like release it out on the internet. Like that is such a low level of integrity and it's really, really frustrating. So I'm just frustrated for the stewards of these plates because it's like, what are we doing here? We're supposed to be people filled with integrity. And one thing that I have to point out real quick, Shane Baldwin said in that video, I'm not afraid my life's not in danger. Well, yeah, your life's not in danger because you're just reporting it, dude. Like it's such an un-Christ-like way of looking at the situation. Other people who are actually in charge, who are actually in the know, could be in danger because of the way that you're acting. And so to me, it's just very frustrating when someone like Shane Baldwin so flippantly, it's like, I don't care what happens to these people. I'm just here reporting. It's very un-Christ-like.
Yes. And what we need to start off by saying is the church has nothing to do with these artifacts. They are not in whatever he says, the vaults of the church. The church has no stewardship over these at all whatsoever, 100%. Okay, I need to get that out of the way very first. And so it's been these artifacts that are coupled along with a lot of other artifacts. Brandon, if you want to pull some of these up here, have been held in a private collection for quite some time now. So you can see a couple crazy, solid gold artifacts.
Amazing.
Pull up those crowns, Brando, if you want to see these. Some crazy, awesome, wild stuff that they, to our knowledge, have been taken from a place in China. That's where these originally were taken from and given to a family. Legally, everything's kosher, but they've been held in a private collection, okay? And essentially what's been happening these last few years and why they've wanted to stay quiet about it, which they're currently in the making of a documentary showing everything they know about these, is because they're assembling a team of scholars right now and doing metallurgic testing to find the date and origin. I actually have the exact name of the type of testing that they're doing on them.
We can't share the full story of this. Like Jackson said, it's going to be put out in a documentary, but these artifacts were originally a gift. And so they come from the part of the world where China is. And there's a crazy story associated that we're not going to be the ones to share that. The documentary is going to be the one to share that. But right now, the group that's putting it together and our stewards over these artifacts are doing everything they can to make sure these artifacts end up in a proper place where they can be studied, they can be shared by the people whose ancestors they were. In a way, right?
Exactly.
And so they're not hoarding it and trying to keep it away. They are trying to be wise stewards over these artifacts and slowly doing the research and then eventually going to make sure they get in hands of people who are going to value it.
Yeah. And so they're doing like anode stripping voltammetry, electroscopy. I probably said that
electroscopy.
Electroscopy, okay? They're doing all these different testings to try to get all this information and then release it to the world. Now, one thing that is so exciting about these is that it shows that Joseph Smith's not crazy, okay? Yep. But when the Book of Mormon was published and the claim was put out there that these records were found and translated from gold plates, he was laughed out of town. And since then, as you all know, many other golden plates and metal plates have been found with ancient records held on them. These just show once again that the idea of putting sacred text on metal that is not going to tarnish and preserved throughout time is something that was common in the ancient days. And to comment on, he says, oh, the original Quran is on these. I will say that they are actively doing translations and analysis on these, and they haven't come to a definitive conclusion on exactly when they date to or what all is contained in the text here. And so,
but what we did ask, he did say that we are okay right now. The date that they have landed on for how old they believe this gold Quran is 744 AD. Mm-hmm. Now, and so 744 AD, Muhammad lived in 600 AD. So this is within 100 years. This is a big deal if the dating is correct. Now, the way that they do the dating, I actually talked to the guy at a university who did the dating on this, and he explained, and I'm going to try my best to recount it. It might be wrong, okay? I'm not a scientist. But the way I understood it is when you forge gold, it then gets rid of all the oxygen. All the oxygen obviously burns off. And then over time, it will slowly absorb a certain amount of oxygen. Now, if you can test the gold by what they do is they like swab it over and over again, then they test what comes off in the swabbing. Based on how much oxygen has been absorbed, you can come up with an approximation of how long it had been since the gold was forged. So as far as I understand, that's how they have done this dating, but it isn't conclusive. It's not as clear as carbon dating would be.
Yeah, exactly. And so some of the important things about this is that they are obviously stewards over this, the people that we've communicated with, and they are handling the whole process of research and, displaying these to certain individuals in the utmost respectful manner. Everyone's wearing gloves with these, like they're held by armed guards. And that's another thing as well, is that they're saying, oh, the church has these. The church does not have these at all in the slightest. They're held in a private location, where we visited them, they have since recently moved them. And so they're not in a, to our knowledge, we have no idea where they're at now, but they're 100% not in the church's possession in any of their vaults or wherever they keep very important things. And so that is one thing that we need to make very clear. Now, I think this is so awesome and exciting when it comes to, on many different levels. Like I said, to show and vindicate once more that Joseph Smith is not insane for the claims of how the Book of Mormon came about and what it was recorded on, but also some incredible things if you're just interested in ancient artifacts altogether. Mm-hmm. And
maybe one of those things we could look at, let's look at that Buddha. The Buddha is really a really interesting artifact that I think is cool.
Yeah. And so Hayden had the opportunity actually to go and do a lot of 3D scans of these different artifacts. And Hayden, tell us more about this.
I'm holding this Buddha kind of like a baby.
It looks like a baby.
It looks like a baby, but it's really, really cool. Now, a little bit, and I'm not an expert on Buddhism, so maybe some of you in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea of Buddhism is that Buddha is a character who reached nirvana, which for us, the closest connection to that to us would be like exaltation, someone who has ascended to a certain part where they've become one with everything, right? And so Buddha, in many ways, is kind of like the Southeast Asian or the East Asian version of the temple, the person who follows a temple ascent. You know what I mean? And one thing I just want to point out, if you zoom into that Buddha right there, Brando, and if you can make it full screen so I can see. So there's a few things to point out that I thought were really cool. Once again, I'm not a scholar. I don't understand Buddhism perfectly, so I could be way off here. But you see there's like a halo around the back of his head. Now you see this often with like Christian saints, right? It's a thing in art, and it shows like the glory. So Buddha is a glorified person. He's been glorified. Also, he has a staff that he has his hand over like this, that's over his neck, like this rod. And that's a sign of royalty as far as I understand. Then you can see his other hand, he is holding like the whole thing is white, but he's holding a stone in his hand like this. Bro. And if you can see on the top, if you could see at the top, there's a place where you could actually put incense sticks. That's what it looks like. So you put incense sticks there. He's also wearing a robe. Also, another thing to point out is Buddha is fat. You can see he's also wearing an apron with a sash around it. Bro. And here's an idea of why maybe Buddha would be considered fat. Here's an idea. The only fat people 1,000 years ago were rich people, kings. Kings were the only people who were able to be fat. Everybody else was surviving. And so the idea of the Buddha being fat is a sign of plenty, a sign of kingship you could look at. And so you look at this Buddha, and as someone who's been through the endowment and who understands temple theology, which we talk about often on the Stick of Joseph, you look at this and you see some of the connections. Once again, I'm not an expert in Buddhism, so maybe there's a whole different thing, but I see these symbols crossing over from a lot of things that we talk about. And this is just one example of the hundreds and hundreds of artifacts that are in part of this. I know Shane Baldwin, Zion Media, is going to focus specifically on the gold plates, but that's just a piece of a larger collection that has an amazing story.
Exactly. And so, very exciting stuff that's still going to be forthcoming. Like I said, they're in the process of making a really awesome in-depth documentary showing the process of all of this stuff. And they are just waiting to be able to have the full information in its entirety so that they're not, speculating or doing anything, but they want to involve the most respected experts in their fields that are going to contribute to deciphering what these plates say, how old they are, where they come from, and everything like that. And so kind of frustrating that people, just like he said, he wants it to be the biggest live stream. I need it to be. He kind of Freudian slips at the start. I need it to be. I'd love it to be the biggest live stream. And so to kind of against the steward's wishes, use this as a chance to get clicks and views is kind of frustrating, I would say. And I guess do with that what you will. But a lot of cool stuff, which we will definitely update the people when it comes time. And they've been able to do all the work necessary to make sure that this is properly handled, especially if it is a very old version of the Quran. We have been told that they are in works with people in the Middle East to be able to go about this in the most correct way possible. And so this isn't going to be brought forward by, members of the church, but by people of the culture and religion in which it pertains to, and which I think is going to be so awesome when that comes out. And so not sure all the things that are going to be alleged in the live stream tonight, but we definitely wanted to set the record straight on the actual facts of these gold plates and the artifacts that are associated with them. And so a lot of cool stuff, very exciting.
One thing I want to say real quick, let's just take the charitable view of why Shane is doing this. So from Shane's perspective, from everything that I can see from some clips that I've seen of Zion Media, I've watched a couple full episodes, it seems like Shane is leaning towards this path that there are nefarious actors in the church, and the church is kind of being run by people who have some sort of agenda. So in his head, he's getting this information that this gold Quran is being held by the church and they're hiding it, right? So I think in his head, if we're trying to take a charitable view and looking at it from his perspective, he thinks that he has to let this out because the church is nefarious in some way. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with 95% of the stuff that's said on Zion Media. But what I will say is, Shane, if you do watch this, like you just need to stop. You've had personal conversations with these people, and they trusted to share information with you, and for you to just throw it by the wind is pretty disrespectful. And that's the reason we're talking about it here. We were planning on talking about this in a couple of years once the documentary came out, because we were shared this information and we respected the wishes of the people who shared it with us. And so I think it is good. So just to reiterate, what are the facts about these? These were found in China. The Quran is part of a greater collection of more artifacts. They are working with people in the Middle East to make sure that this Quran, the sacred text to the Muslim people, is handled properly and ends up in the right hands. They have done some tests on them. Those tests show that it could be from around 744 AD, and they are in a private collection, not owned by the church. The only connection to the church is what you pointed out at the beginning, is that this shows that sacred texts have been kept on gold plates in antiquity. And so that's the only connection. So I think that's why we're doing this. We just want to make sure that the information is clear, because if the misinformation gets out first, it can confuse a lot of people.
Exactly. And so yes, just like Jesus says, judge not, but judge with righteous judgment. To be able to judge righteously, you need to have all of the facts of the matter from, verifiable sources. And so really excited to report more as, more information comes out about these, but hopefully that gives you a little more context to be able to discern between right and wrong. Until next time, if you're not looking at the world through a restored gospel lens, you're only getting half the story. God bless you.